I'm making a game where planets sumo wrestle, and there was a big fighting game tournament coming up in my city. So I decided to spend half the profit of my Steam sales on the prize pool. I did not expect how it would turn out. There were some nail-biting matches and even some drama. So why did I do this? 1, to get people to take the game more seriously, and maybe practice a little in their own time. 2, to get more players entering the bracket. And 3, to get a juicy title for this video. 2 of these goals didn't really pan out like I'd hoped. The singles bracket attracted a whopping 8 entrants. Now keep in mind, I'd hosted a bracket months prior that got 15 entrants, and the prize for that was a free copy of the game. The tournament ran over 2 days. The first day was supposed to have a doubles bracket, but there weren't even enough players for that to run. So I ended up just spending the first day setting up the live stream and interviewing each of the players to ask them how much practice they'd put in. The answers ranged from a little bit against bots to I haven't played in years. I'd run regular tournaments to playtest the game throughout its development. 3 of the players had entered many brackets, 1 had entered a few, and the other 4 had barely touched the game. I also decided not to enter myself because I didn't want to say, hey, there's a big prize pool, but guess what? I'm taking half of it back for myself. Most of the round 1 matches went as expected, but one of them was a little crazy. The Rat was one of the top seeds for the tournament, and Stacked hadn't really played much before. But one thing about Stacked is that he's a highly ranked Smash Bros player, and as it turned out, his ability to adapt and exploit mechanics transferred over. Before the bracket, the Rat asked me if there were any banned maps, to which I replied that there weren't. I suspected the reason he asked was because the most recent map I added to the game has a big black hole in the middle. I knew it was one of the more contentious maps, but I hadn't seen it played with money on the line. Stacked started out with Mars as a recommendation from Blurry, although Mars is one of the more difficult characters to play. So the Rat took game 1 pretty easily in the best of 5 match. After realizing that Venus would be a better switch, they had to pick a random map for game 2 as per the rules. And guess where we went?
Oh my god. He's immediately going to back on.
Stack decided to use his speed to just run away and wait for the ring to shrink enough where the Rat, playing the bigger and harder to control planet, would eventually make a mistake, sending him into the black hole. With this strategy, Stack managed to take game 2. After the Rat takes game 3, Stack decides to stay Venus and instead pick the map. And this time, the Rat is not having it. He decides to just end it early and go to game 5. This is a tense point.
The Rat just wants to finish it here.
The
self-KO.
The Rat does manage to prevail.
Personally, I don't think that should be legal in tournament.
Yeah, I think we might do a bit of restructuring after this tournament.
After the tournament.
I did not want to change the rules in the middle of the tournament, so the map remained in the pool. Since it was a double elimination bracket, you had to lose twice before getting knocked out of the tournament. So this wasn't the last of Stacked. And this is also where matches would get a little closer. All 4 of the players in Losers Round 1 had very little experience. If Stacked could win enough of these, he could make his way back to the Rat. The first of the elimination matches was Artrix vs Stacked. After Stacked took game 1, he somehow convinced Artrix to pick Singularity Trap on game 2. But since Stacked was playing Saturn, he couldn't run away and actually ended up losing this game. When looking for a new character to play, he noticed there was a second page for custom characters. You can actually customize all of the 8 stats of your planet, such as mass, temperature, and range, which affect gameplay. He found a character named Jet. Now being real, I had no idea what this build was. And as it turns out, this planet had exactly the same stats as Mercury. But the change was enough to win game 3. Artrix counterpicked to the Great Filter map, and this would help him throw Mercury between the wormhole gaps. The final game of the match goes to Explodrome. Oh, Artrix, no! Stacked wins over Artrix, moving on to Losers Quarterfinals, leaving Artrix as the first eliminated player. The other Losers Round 1 match was Apollo CJ versus Wildemold. Apollo tried out Uranus and it didn't quite work out, so he switched back to his trusty Mercury that did decently against LT, and tied it up 1-1. Wildemold picked Great Filter, which as it turned out, was not a great decision. and Apollo ended up taking the match 3-1. Now on to winners semi-finals, starting with Blurry versus the Rat. These two have a pretty even win record. They went down to the final game at the release tournament. Before the bracket, they decided that if they played each other, they would have a gentleman's agreement to disable the Singularity Trap map, which I was fine with since both players agreed. But since Blurry commentated Stacked versus the Rat, he saw how effective his camping strategy was, and he started to second guess the agreement. They did disable Singularity Trap for the first random map selection. They land on the less contentious Black Hole map, where Blurry takes the game with some clutch moon grabs. He then takes the next game without dropping a point. The Rat, being down 2-0, actually picks something other than his favorite map, Sol Arena.
Oh, bumps the nuke.
Blurry takes it 3-0 over the Rat and moves on to winners finals, sending the Rat to losers bracket. The other side of winners semis was LT versus Sway. After losing game 1, LT counterpicks Great Filter, and unfortunately, loses by his own hand. LT managed to have a great round on game 3, pulling the stars back together on Alpha Centurion, although it wasn't enough to win, and Sweet takes the match 3-0. Now up to losers quarterfinals. The Rat makes quick work of Apollo CJ, eliminating him from the tournament. The other side was LT versus Stacked, and guess what the random map was for game 1? Stacked knows his win condition and starts running away, but LT is ruthless in his pursuit. LT manages to get some grabs and develops a strategy to pull the stars out of the black hole, preventing it from growing any bigger. These adjustments allow him to win the game, and eventually the match. So Stacked wasn't able to make it back to the Rat. However, LT is looking like a formidable opponent. In losers semi-finals, LT decides that he didn't die enough to the wormholes in his match against Sway. To his credit, he did have some incredible wormhole plays throughout the day, but the wormholes giveth, and the wormholes taketh away. Eventually, enough was enough, and he decided to have the third game on Sol Arena, where the Rat took the match 3-0. Now it was time for winners finals. Swait had triple the tournament experience going in, with 63 brackets, compared to Blurry's 21.
Who's gonna have the most health? I think Steven is. He's got a high health. Oh! No!
No, I think, yeah, Wait wins.
Yep. Bounce the bomb on purpose to gain speed. Oh, there it is!
Oh no.
But he kills himself. This will be pivotal. Oh, and the parry! Finishes it off there. Oh, Steven the advantage here, but Swait has a lot of health. No ring to bounce off of. Steven taking advantage, and he does it. Oh, this is
Wanted
huge.
to finish the set off.
This is huge. And that'll do it. Game 5. Oh, that's a huge
Oh my gosh.
moon grab there. All right, Blurry's got the advantage here. I think Swait's getting helped to cross.
Oh.
Blurry takes game 5 over Swait. I was shocked to say the least. I was expecting Swait to clean sweep the bracket. But Blurry, with his new custom character, was able to secure a spot on the winner's side of Grand Finals, and send Swait to losers finals against the Rat. The Rat was down 2-0, and decided to pick the Great Filter map as a Hail Mary, and manages to take that game. But Swait does win the next one, taking the match 3-1. Now it was time for Grand Finals. Blurry, being on the winner's side, only had to win one match to win the tournament, but Swait had to win 2 in a row. The first game was on Supernova Stadium. Blurry's character, having high grip and health stats, was very well suited to drain the star until it exploded, dissolving the protective ring and leaving Swait's Mars to die faster from deep space radiation. Blurry was looking unstoppable, winning the first 2 games 3-0, but Swait wasn't going down that easily. Game 3 goes down to the last point, but Swait clutches it back to make the match score 2-1. Blurry decides to take Swait to his own favourite map, Wormholodrome, where Swait evens the score 2-2. The final game of the match goes to Explodrome.
See if we can make use of these bombs here. Already shrinking the size of the ring by damaging the star. Oh, and that's a huge explosion. Oh, and Blurry comes out on the bottom there in this Game 5 of the first set of Grand Finals. Can Blurry... Oh, no. Draining some health, and it's so tense. This is such a tense final game. Oh, and Blurry bringing it to a 2-2 situation. Alright, no more bombs. It's just pure Smorbit gameplay. The final game, another last point situation. I put my phone up to start recording the celebration if Blurry won. But as Swait won, I ended up recording this instead.
I keep doing that, I cannot win the tournament.
While I was focused on getting good footage for this video, I failed to realize how distracting it might be having a phone pointed at you in the most tense moment of a tournament with money on the line. Won't be doing that again. Since Blurry had now joined Swait in the losers bracket, there was only one more match to decide the tournament. Blurry decides to use the time between matches to modify his character stats, reducing mass and speed and increasing bounce, which seemed to have worked for Game 1. For Game 2, Swait goes back to his favorite map. I want to illustrate how clutch this play was here. Blurry throws the wormhole into himself and the star, teleporting himself along with the arena. Meanwhile, Swait manages to grab the star at the same frame as it teleports, which if he didn't do, he would have been stranded outside of the ring, and Swait ends up winning this game. Blurry picks Supernova Stadium for Game 3, and manages to abuse draining the star like he did previously to take the win. Game 4. After Swait goes up 2 points to 0, Blurry clutches 2 points back, bringing the game score 2-2. This is Blurry's third championship point, but Swait just won't give in and brings the match score 2-2. This was the final game, the 15th game between these two today. Blurry could pick Supernova Stadium again, but he decides that running away and grabbing the star would be a lame way to win. So he decides to go to his favorite map instead, Explodrome, where only the most honest victories are made. Swait had fumbled with bombs before, but this time, Swait decided, you know what, I'm just gonna ignore the bombs. And Blurry, after so much clinical play around the sun, decides to focus more on the bombs. Swait has a huge amount of health. Oh, and this could be it. Blurry will have to bring out something big here. And that was it. Swait was your Smorbit champion at Sunnyside Up 2.
Easily the tensest experience I've had playing this game. That was so cool.
So how much did they win? Well, it doesn't take a detective genius to figure out that the game hasn't sold fantastically. So half the profit from Steam sales was around $200. And with a $5 entry fee from each player, I decided to round the prize pool up to $250. With a $150, $75, and $25 split for first, second, and third. First place also got this light-up solar system as a trophy. Although I wish the money would bring more entrants, it was still nice to be able to reward the players who'd played the game so much.